El 4 de diciembre de 1982 en Melbourne, Australia. Los médicos se encuentran sorprendidos a lo que están presenciando. No encuentran una razón, piensan que no sobrevivirá, pero lo llaman un verdadero milagro. Su nombre es Nick VUJICIC. A pesar de no tener extremidades, goza de muy buena salud. Su padre no comprendía lo que le sucedía a su hijo. Había consternación, pero Dios mismo dio la sabiduría y coraje para enfrentar esta adversidad. En Australia, la ley no permite el ingreso de discapacitados a la escuela. Pero con la ayuda de su madre, la ley es abolida. Sin embargo, fue un tiempo duro por el rechazo y la burla. Pero todos sus compañeros comprendieron que Nick era igual a ellos. Y pronto se descubriría su potencial para compartir su historia y experiencia, para animar a otros. A los 21 años, Nick termina sus estudios en comercio, planeación financiera, contabilidad, y se convierte en un extraordinario conferencista motivacional.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Take a seat. G'day everybody, how are you? Before I start anything, I want to first of all thank you for the opportunity here to be a part of the Summer Conference 2006. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nick VUJICIC. I'm 23 years old, and today I want to share with you 3 main keys in my life that got me from a life without limbs to a life without limits. For those of you who do not know my story, I was born without arms and legs. There was no medical reason why this had happened. But before I do get into anything, I always love to share some funny experiences that I've had in my life. I love kids' reactions. Kids' reactions are fantastic. Like, I go to the shops and everybody just stares at me and stuff. You saw me in my wheelchair there on the DVD last night, and all the kids coming up and say, "What happened?" And I go up and say, "Cigarettes." And stay away from those cigarettes. Anyway, I have a lot of funny stories, but obviously you have no idea that I have no arms, no legs. You just see my beautiful, sexy face. And we're at the red lights, and this car pulls up next to us. This girl's looking at me, and I'm thinking, okay, let's have some fun here. So I look at her, and I get her attention, eye contact, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I actually get my seatbelt in my mouth, loosen the seatbelt, and in the car seat, just do this. You should have seen her face. She was like, "You're freaking me out, man." All right, one more trick before we get into my story. I have a phone up here. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to flick up my phone onto my shoulder. Now, this does not happen the first time, but what happens when you fail? Very good. What happens when you fail? Very good. Can someone give me a sound for a ringing phone, please? Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Here we go. I'm coming! Hey, is that cool? In a blessed country, I was born to parents with the support I needed. You see, when I was born, it was such a tragedy. It was such a great shock to everybody. We had ultrasounds done when Mum was pregnant with me. I was her firstborn. And my mum made sure that we had the best doctors in Melbourne. My mum was a nurse and delivered hundreds of babies before I was born. She knew exactly what to do and what not to do in her first pregnancy. Yet, having all these precautions, this happened. And anybody who saw me and saw my parents automatically thought that, hey, this is a bad thing. It was such just a pause in their life where they couldn't breathe. They couldn't fathom. What kind of life is their firstborn son going to live? Without arms and legs, he can't even feed himself. He can't even dress himself. Doctor said I would never be able to stand up, let alone jump around. You know, I'm so thankful that they knew nothing until I was born. Who knew? Who knew that I would become a 23-year-old professional motivational speaker, speaking to 1 million people all around the world, starting schools in third world countries, building hospitals in the future and orphanages and all that stuff. That's just the beginning. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a stock market investor. I love options trading. That's becoming one of my professions. I love the fact, though, above all, that I can give the world something that others cannot. But before I tell you all that good stuff, let me tell you the more down times in my life. Obviously, it was difficult for my parents, but it was also difficult for me. When I went to school, a lot of kids teased me. A lot of kids put me down. It was very difficult at starters to find friends. But my parents encouraged me to just speak with people. And as I speak, a lot of people would say, well, hey, he's just like everybody else, just with a few parts missing. You know, I'm just like you. I've just gone out on the limb a couple more times than you have for my friends. But it's all good. But it was very difficult at times, and I had no one to tell me that everything's going to be okay the way I wanted it said. Problem is, if anyone did say that, even my parents at times, I would say, how do you know? How do you know how it feels to be in my position? You don't even know the future. How can you say that I'm going to have a good life? You cannot. What can you tell me to encourage me? Can you tell me anything? Only if you've been through it. And this is what I'm here about. I want to tell you, I was depressed. I had suicidal thoughts at the age of 8. I had this massive list of all the things that I couldn't do and I'll never have in life. I never thought, you know, I'd get married. Who'd want a husband without arms and legs? And I thought even if I ever did get married, I'm not going to be even able to hold my wife's hand. I'm not going to be able to dance with my bride on our wedding night. I used to hate going to public parks and seeing fathers throwing up their kids in the air and sometimes dropping them. You know, I won't have that intimacy with my sons and my daughters. I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. And no one had any answers. And I thought I was the only one in such a predicament. Your mind, the way you see your life and where you are going will determine how successful you will be in life. I could say, yeah, I'm a guy without arms and legs. Don't ask yourself and see what you don't have, see what you do have, and then say, okay, this is where I am. Thing. Be thankful. Know where you are. Now, when you establish where you are in life and who you are in life, and you give yourself a little bit of credit, do you know how I gave myself credit when I was 7 years old? Some people at school were teasing me for how I looked. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, yep, I don't have arms and legs. They're right. But I said, look at my eyes. I told myself, look at your eyes. You got beautiful eyes, young man. I said, you are hot. I said, no one can take that away from you. Your eyes. If it's only your eyes that you can concentrate on, then concentrate on that. Do you get the message? If you find one positive thing about your life that no one can argue with, then hang on to that and go from there. Once you establish where you are and hang on to the positive things, the assets that you have, then expand on that. Stop thinking of what missed opportunities are out there. And wherever your goal is, let it be. You and I know that we can make choices to either better our life or put our life in a worse position. Where are you going? Is it big? Visions beyond comprehension. Perfect time for everything. Not now, but it's coming.